Good morning and welcome back to Fun Facts with CDS Education Consulting. Today we're going to be talking about preparation for charter renewal with a specific focus on proactive approaches for board members. I have a lot of experience with boards and understand the anxiety that often arises as they're going into authorizer renewal, and in particular around interviews. So today we're going to be talking about how boards can prepare for those interviews so that they go in confident and unified. And so you can see here some specifics around the role of trustees. But what I want you to take away in particular is that oftentimes trustees view themselves strictly as cheerleaders for the organization. They're the ones that are rooting on the school, being public ambassadors for the program, and really trying to improve or extend the reputation of the school in the community. But board members also have so many other responsibilities, from helping to set and maintain school policies, holding your school leader accountable, understanding the fiscal position of the school, ensuring compliance, and really ensuring that the school is sustainable both from the perspective of finances, but also thinking about succession for your roles specifically. And so when authorizers are looking at meeting with trustees, some things that they really want to know are, do you understand your responsibilities in this role? Are you acting in compliance with it? And they also want to understand what your personal role as a member of the committee is, whether that be an officer, a general member, or, someone that volunteers for specific committees. So I like to think about preparing for these meetings like preparing for a job interview for an internal promotion. You really want to show that you understand your role, you're familiar with the school's performance targets, there are things that you're excited to celebrate, some areas where you need to grow, and you're really prepared and understanding where any of your pitfalls might have been in the past. I often see, as we go back to that thought of board members as cheerleaders, that board members are super ready to talk about all the wonderful, amazing things that schools are doing. But when an authorizer asks, okay, what are the challenges you're facing, and how are you supporting the school to move forward? We either get a response that's more related to out of school factors, families are dealing with this, that, and the other thing, and that's affecting our school. Or there's kind of like crickets, and board members just don't really have the foresight to think about what those challenges are. Or there's some anxiety about presenting any challenges for fear that it's going to get the school in trouble, or there's going to be some kind of issue related to it. And what I really want to emphasize here is you do best by thinking about what those challenge areas are up front and being able to specifically and proactively speak to the things that you're doing to address them. Things happen. Running a school is complicated. Sometimes laws and regulations change. Your vision from your initial charter changed. You have challenges with enrollment, whatever it may be. And authorizers understand that these things happen. What they're less tolerant of is the school having a lack of understanding of these challenges, or having an understanding and not taking a proactive approach to getting back on track. Finally, I really want to emphasize that you should understand the basic tenets of your bylaws. How many board members are you supposed to have? What are your officer roles? What are your term limits, both as an individual and for members in general? What are your committee structures? And what's the cadence of your meetings? I know that board members that are not officers often don't really think about these things. They kind of just show up. But it's super important for the sake of renewal that everyone is on the same page around what these expectations are. And these are easy things to find either in a fast fact kind of one pager that your board can create or your school leader can create to share with you, or by looking deeper into your bylaws themselves. And so here are some of the common pitfalls that I see, and we've already talked about some of them, but board members oftentimes don't remember their terms, how many terms they've had or how long they've been in them. This isn't something that comes up in the day-to-day, so I understand that it may not be top of mind, but please expect authorizers to ask where you are in your term and how long you've been on a board. Another challenge that I see often is that one person, whether it be your board chair or just a member, does the majority of the talking, and the other board members kind of take a seat back, look around, take it all in, but they're not necessarily engaging. In the best case scenario in these interviews, all board members are engaging and answering questions. It's not that every person has to give an answer to every question, but every person should talk at least once during the interview. And the last piece is, the greatest pitfall for these interviews is that trustees sometimes give the answer that they think the authorizer wants to hear rather than the most transparent response. I'm not talking about lying. I'm just talking about kind of couching things, not being fully straightforward about them. If you faced a challenge, kind of brushing it under the rug and moving forward like it wasn't a big deal. If something happened that was a big deal or there was a specific challenge you faced, it's okay. But you do much, much better speaking to what that challenge was and how you've overcome it, what your trajectory is moving forward, than trying to ignore it or give the authorizer, the compliant answer because you think that that's going to bode better for the school. And so here are some quick tips for you as you're preparing for renewal interviews. I've seen some great work from executive committees to create an overview, kind of like a cheat sheet or a one-pager of key information. This is really kind of funny and important because in some ways it seems like you might be cheating, giving yourself the answers up front, but it's really not a test. And you should have access to these answers anyway because it's part of your responsibility as a board member. So, the key information there might be things like terms, goals, different pieces of your strategic plan, codifying challenges up front, and maybe even polling the board up front to talk about, who's going to be responsible for presenting on what do you feel most confident in, and where are there areas of dissent on the board that you can codify up front so that you can expect those things when the authorizer speaks with you. Again, some of these are repetition from what I've shared before, but they're so important. Most cases, every person does not have to answer every question, so feel free to defer to one another for technical questions. For example, your treasurer might want to talk about your board's finances because they'll be able to do so in a much more confident way than your general trustee. Give an honest answer. It's better to say, I don't know, or the school leader is responsible for those activities and we support them in doing that, than to say that you do something you don't and then get caught in the uncomfortable place of not actually being able to speak to it. And then finally, to take some of the anxiety down, I really like to think about these presentations and interviews not just as a test for you all to demonstrate that you're competent, but really as a way to celebrate, brag, and show off the exciting work that you do as a school. And so if these tips resonated with you, you're interested in talking about this topic a bit more, or you're preparing for an upcoming renewal, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself and my team at my email and website listed here on this slide. We look forward to talking with you, and we hope you have a great renewal season.